There is a woman in Kyoto who owns 11 shirts. Not 11 that she likes best out of 40, 11 total. Her apartment is 40 square meters. There is one plant on the windowsill, one photograph on the wall, and nothing on the floor of her genkan except the pair of shoes she is currently wearing. She is not poor. She is not a minimalist influencer. She is 63 years old. She has lived this way for 4 decades, and when you ask her how she feels walking through her own front door, she says one word: light. Now picture the home most of us actually live in. Closets that don't close, a junk drawer that became a junk shelf, then a junk corner, gifts we never wanted, kept out of guilt, gathering dust on a shelf we walk past every single day without seeing them anymore. We tried the bins, we tried the labeled boxes, we watched the videos about the 20-minute tidy, and somehow, 6 months later, the pile is back, maybe bigger. If that's you, here's the thing nobody says out loud. It was never about being disorganized. It was about what you were taught to keep. By the end of this video, you'll know the 12 specific things a traditional Japanese home almost never contains, not as a rule, but as a quiet inherited instinct, and the exact psychological and neurological reason each one drains you more than you realize. Stay to the end, because number 9 is the one almost nobody expects, and number 12 is the one that, once you hear the reasoning, you won't be able to unsee in your own house. Here's the myth first, because it has to go. We've been told clutter is a discipline problem, that organized people simply have more willpower, better systems, tidier brains. And for a huge number of people, that explanation simply doesn't hold up. Not because you aren't trying. You've bought the bins. You've done the seasonal purge. The problem was never your discipline. The problem is that your home was built, piece by piece, gift by gift, good deal by good deal, around a hidden variable almost nobody names. Every object you own is quietly asking your brain to manage it, forever, whether you're using it or not. Look in your kitchen drawer right now. The spare peeler behind the good peeler. 3 half-used bottles of the same lotion. Most of us keep duplicates as a kind of insurance, just in case the first one fails. But there's a Japanese word for the deeper instinct at play here: mottainai, a sense of regret over waste, over letting something's usefulness go unrealized. The traditional reading of mottainai isn't keep everything. It's the opposite. It's the discomfort of owning something that isn't being used well, sitting idle instead of serving its purpose. A drawer of backups isn't respect for the object. It's neglect wearing a disguise. And the researcher Roy Baumeister, who spent decades studying willpower, found something that applies directly here. Every small decision, which peeler, which bottle, draws from the same limited well of mental energy your brain uses for everything else that day. The shift, one of each. Not because you can't afford 2, because your mind can only hold so many which one decisions before it's tired before lunch. The souvenir magnet, the conference mug, the vase from a wedding you barely remember attending. Here's how it looks from a wabi-sabi lens. The appreciation of what is simple, worn, and genuinely present over what is merely accumulated. A Japanese living room often holds 3 or 4 objects, chosen with intent, rather than 30 chosen by accident. Researchers studying home environments, including a well-known 2016 study on household clutter and subjective well-being, have linked visually dense, object-heavy rooms to elevated cortisol, our primary stress hormone, particularly in the people who live there rather than the guests who visit. Your eyes don't get to rest. They're always scanning, always landing on something, and your nervous system treats that scanning like low-grade work. The shift. 3 objects you love, visible. Everything else, gone or put away. Slow down here, that's not a small change. That's giving your eyes a place to land that doesn't cost you anything. This one is almost too obvious, and that's exactly why it's worth saying. In a traditional Japanese home, the genkan, the small sunken entry just inside the door, is a hard line. Outside stays outside. What crosses it is chosen, not dragged in. It's a physical boundary that becomes a mental one. Environmental psychologists talk about behavioral cueing, the idea that a clear, consistent physical boundary in your environment quietly signals your brain to shift state, the same way a made bed signals morning is over. A cluttered entryway, coats and bags and shoes in a heap, sends the opposite signal every time you walk in. There is no line here, nothing has changed, you're still carrying the outside world. The shift, one clear surface at your own front door, nothing on it but what you're about to put on tomorrow. The dress from 15 pounds ago. The suit for the job you left. The for good outfit that never gets worn because nothing ever feels good enough. This is where danshari lives, a word built from 3 ideas: refusing what you don't need, disposing of what's excess, and separating from your attachment to it. Not throwing things away angrily, releasing them calmly because they no longer serve who you are now. Psychologist Sheena Iyengar's well-known research on choice found that when we're offered too many options, we don't feel more free, we feel more anxious, and we're less satisfied with whatever we eventually pick. A closet with 60 options isn't abundance, it's 60 small arguments every morning. The shift. Keep what fits the person you are today, not the one you were or the one you're hoping to become. That's not giving up, that's coming home to yourself. There's actually a Japanese word for this exact habit: sundoku. The quiet accumulation of unread books, stacked with good intentions that never arrive. And it's telling that traditional Japanese homes are famous for the opposite: a small, rotating shelf, a handful of books actually being read, nothing performing the idea of being well read. Psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik discovered something decades ago that still holds up. Our minds hold on to unfinished tasks with more tension than finished ones. An unread stack isn't neutral. It's a small, constant hum of unfinished, sitting in the corner of your peripheral vision every time you walk past. The shift. Read it, donate it, or let it go. Just don't let it sit there being a reminder of who you meant to be. Here's a reframe worth pausing on. Your living room isn't too small, it's too full. There's a concept, that doesn't translate cleanly into English. It means something closer to the deliberate, meaningful pause. Not empty space as absence, but empty space as the thing that gives everything else its shape. A traditional Japanese room often has more open floor than furniture, and that emptiness isn't unfinished, it's the point. Environmental psychologist Rachel Kaplan's research on restorative environments suggests our attention recovers faster in spaces that aren't visually demanding, spaces with room to simply be. A room crammed wall to wall doesn't just look busy, it behaves like a low hum of noise your brain never fully tunes out. The shift. Pick one wall, one corner, and leave it empty on purpose. Let it breathe. The cables for devices you no longer own. The spare parts for the thing you replaced 2 years ago. We keep these under the banner of being prepared, but what they actually create is what researchers describing chronic, low-grade stress call allostatic load. The slow, cumulative cost of your body staying mildly braced over and over for things that mostly never happen. A house full of just-in-case bins is a house quietly bracing for 100 emergencies that already passed. The shift. If you haven't needed it in the last year, the emergency it was for either already happened without it or isn't coming. This one stings a little, so let it. The mug from an aunt with the wrong initials. The painting that isn't your style, hung anyway because taking it down feels like an insult. Behavioral economists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky described a pattern called loss aversion. We feel the discomfort of losing something, even something we don't like, more sharply than the relief of gaining space back. That's not gratitude keeping that object on your wall. That's a small, ongoing debt to a feeling, paid daily, in a corner of your home you didn't choose. The shift. You're allowed to store it out of sight, or let it go entirely. The gratitude was for the gesture. It doesn't have to live on your wall forever. Here's the one almost nobody expects. The enemy in most homes isn't the big furniture. It's the small stuff. The drawer of cables, the gadget bought during a scroll, the impulse purchase that solved a 2-minute craving and then sat unused for 2 years. Addiction researcher Anna Lemke has written extensively about how small, easy dopamine hits, the add to cart, the unboxing, create a brief lift followed by a dip that makes the next purchase feel necessary, not optional. Kaizen, the practice of small, continuous improvement, offers the quiet antidote. Not a dramatic purge, but one drawer, once a week, kept honest. The shift. Before the next small purchase, wait 24 hours. Most of the craving is gone by morning, and so is the object you almost bought. 6 half-used serums, 3 brushes for one style of hair. In a traditional Japanese home, the bathroom often holds a handful of products, chosen and finished before the next is opened. Closer to seijaku, a stillness, a quiet, than to a display. Attention researchers have found that visually busy spaces cost us something before we even register it consciously. Our eyes do work sorting what matters from what doesn't, work we never notice we're doing. Your bathroom is supposed to be the first calm 5 minutes of your day. For most of us, it's a small visual traffic jam before we've even had coffee. The shift, down to what you actually finish using. Let the counter be quiet. There's a phrase for owning fewer things, but choosing each one on purpose. Closer to ikigai, the idea of a reason for being, applied here to a reason for owning. Psychologist Tim Kasser's research on materialism has linked a heavier emphasis on possessions with lower reported well-being. Not because objects are bad, but because chasing more of them rarely delivers the feeling we were hoping to buy. A wall with one photograph you love does more for you than a wall with 20 you've stopped seeing. The shift. Pick the objects that actually mean something and let the rest go quiet. And here's the one that ties everything together. Almost every home we've talked about has one room, one corner, one rented unit, holding the things we can't use, can't sell, and can't quite let go of. The treadmill, the boxes from a move 3 addresses ago, the hobby we meant to pick back up. This is Don Shari in its fullest form. Come back around. Not one drawer, but the whole quiet habit of it. The willingness to let someday become not anymore. Slow down here because this is the real one. That storage room isn't holding your stuff. It's holding a version of your future you've stopped actually planning for. The shift. Give it a date. If someday hasn't come by then, it isn't coming. So here's the whole thing laid end to end. One of each, not two. A few objects you love, not 30 you've stopped seeing. A clear line at your own front door. A closet that fits who you are now. A shelf that's actually being read. A wall left empty on purpose. No bin of just in case. No gift on display out of guilt. A drawer of cables kept honest, weekly. A bathroom counter that's quiet. A wall claimed by what you love. And a storage room with an actual date on it. None of it costs money. All of it is order, not willpower. The order these habits happen in, and the fact that each one makes the next one easier. That woman in Kyoto with 11 shirts isn't lighter because she owns less. She's lighter because everything she owns, she chose. Your home was never too messy. It was too full of things nobody ever asked you to keep. Not a prescription, a perspective. But tonight, before you go to bed, open one drawer, just one. Take out anything you haven't used in a year and set it by the door. If this helped, you know what to do. A quiet subscribe costs nothing either. And tell me in the comments, which of these 12 is sitting in your house right now?